I'm a man in my early 30s. Until 5.5 years ago, I was married to a woman named Lorna. At the age of 27, Lorna died in a way that was very sudden and very traumatic. Honestly, it destroyed me. Lorna had been my best friend in the world since we were children, and I was blessed to have her as my partner for the last 6 years of her life. We had a beautiful daughter, Harriet, together, and honestly, she was the only thing that kept me together at all when her mother died. I honestly thought I could never be with anyone else again. Well, 2 years ago, Jess came along. She's kind and funny and beautiful, and she made me feel things I hadn't felt since before Lorna passed. I fell pretty hard and fast for her, and we've been together ever since and living together for about a year. A few months ago, Jess's mother, Jill, also moved in with us, which brings us to the issue at hand. I still have some of Lorna's things. The house isn't like a shrine to her or anything, but a few of her bits are hanging around. Harriet has quite a few of her clothes and some of her jewelry, and there are a couple of family pictures still out on display. I have a number of letters that Lorna wrote to me in a keepsake box, as well as a few small random sentimental items like one of the hair scrunchies she used to wear all the time and a friendship bracelet one of the kids she worked with made for her. I also kept her favorite nightie, put away in a box, not hanging up in the wardrobe, and some paintings she did are hanging in the house. Jess has always told me very clearly that she's fine with all of this. Her mother less so. Jill is very indignant about the fact that I like having bits of Lorna's still around. She's told me straight that she thinks I'm disrespecting her daughter by doing so, despite Jess's assurance that she doesn't feel disrespected. She's accidentally knocked photos down on a number of occasions, and Harriet has noted items of clothing missing from the laundry whenever Jill has done it. Note, they have always turned back up stuffed into the back of a random drawer or something. Recently, she's been upping the ante though. A couple of weeks ago, I caught her trying to take down Lorna's art to replace it with some generic canvas prints she bought at a home decor shop, because they fit the room better. I told her no, and she begrudgingly left it. Well, this week I had to go away for a couple of days for work. Harriet has been pet sitting for a neighbor, so alongside school, has been spending a lot of time out of the house, meaning Jess and Jill have been there alone a lot. I knew some stuff was going on when Harriet texted me that Jill had taken the art down again and put her canvases up, and refused to change them back when Harriet asked her. I was pissed off, but said I'd handle it when I got home, as I prefer to have those discussions in person. Cut to yesterday. I got home and saw that Harriet was correct. I told Jill that I wanted Lorna's paintings back up by that afternoon, and she, quite smugly, told me the dustman had already taken them by now. I asked what the duck she meant by that, and she informed me that she'd thrown them away and framed as trying to help Harriet and I let go of the past, and said we'd thank her one day. As if it wasn't bad enough, while we were having this discussion, she was folding laundry and very pointedly messing with a pile of cleaning rags. Cleaning rags she had taken it upon herself to make by cutting Lorna's favorite nightie. I admit I saw red when I realized this, not only because it was Lorna's, but because to find it, she would have had to dig through cupboards and stuff and rifle through my personal things. I'm not a sewer anyway, but the rags seemed to have been cut in such a way that even if I was, I couldn't have had a hope of mending anything. I was furious. I told her to get the duck out of my house and not come back. I told her I'd pack her crap into bin bags and leave it by the end of the drive, and she could have it if she got to it before the bin men or anyone else did. I'll admit, I swore and called her some names I probably shouldn't have. But I've never been madder in my life. Jess tried to intervene, but mostly sided with her mother, saying she had good intentions and Harriet and I's best interest in mind, and that I was overreacting. I told her to get her mother off my property, and that I didn't give a duck where she went or if she had anywhere else to go. Jess called me cruel, and they left to go to a hotel. I just don't know what to do going forwards. I'm still so mad I haven't spoken to Jess since she left. My daughter is heartbroken that her mother's paintings are gone forever. Jill will never be welcome in my home again. But Jess, I love her. I do. I enjoy her being a part of my life. But I don't know how or if I can reconcile this. I just don't know what to do. Any help or suggestion is appreciated. Thank you. Unfortunately, Jess would have had opportunity to nip this in the bud multiple times and salvage these items from being destroyed. She either agrees with her mother or was happy to see it happen for the greater good. I wouldn't want either of these women assisting in raising your daughter. If they couldn't handle a few belongings of your wife's around the house and kept it in private, how on earth will they ever truly accept your daughter? These were not only your memories, but precious ones belonging to your daughter. They had no right. In my humble opinion, this is unforgivable. No one gets to tell someone else how to and how long to grieve for. Jess should have respected you enough to have her mother stand down or try to stop her. She went along with it. My boyfriend lost his wife several years ago, and I would never dream of ruining her things, what little he has, and I would certainly never let my mother do so. Also, she should care for your daughter enough to not allow her to be traumatized like that. She intentionally hurt your daughter. What is going to happen if y'all have a child together? Will she treat your daughter differently because she's not hers? I fear she has some personal issues with Harriet that could have contributed to this, to be honest. She's tried to encourage Harriet to call her Granny for a while, but Harriet doesn't want to. She has 4 living grandmothers, my 2 moms, Lorna's mother, and Lorna's stepmother. And while she's always been polite and kind and respectful to Jill, has no interest in viewing her as a 5th one so soon. I don't know this for sure to be the case, but I have a niggling feeling that that's contributed. My 40 male, wife, 39 female, and I have 2 daughters that are 1.5 years apart. For many years, my wife, who is a stay-at-home mom, had a very close relationship with both our girls. There were a few comments about how my older daughter, Olivia, looks more like my side of the family, and how my youngest, Jennifer, looks a lot like my wife, who used to do catalog modeling and teen pageants. I thought her having my youngest daughter pose in side-by-side photos in her mother's tiara when she was like 7 was just for a cute Facebook post. Around the start of high school, my younger daughter started to really grow into a true mini-me of her mom at that age. My older daughter was already insecure about how she didn't like how she was fat in the wrong places. She also didn't like her nose, or how one eye was slightly bigger than the other eye, and was convinced she had a slight lazy eye until the doctor said no. My wife started always getting our youngest, Jennifer, expensive new clothes, jewelry, and makeup. She'd take Jennifer to the salon or the mall when my older daughter Olivia was at her after-school activity, and would only ever take Olivia with them when she asked multiple times. She is extremely in tune with any of Jennifer's whims, and when Jennifer snaps at anybody or doesn't want to eat this or that, she usually changes what we agreed to have for dinner and tries to rectify whatever made Jennifer upset. Meanwhile, she shoots down even subtle signs of Olivia being upset, telling her to stop complaining, even though when Jennifer is mean to my wife and I, Olivia is always the one who sticks up for us. She always tells Jennifer how beautiful she is. At events, people turn their heads and other parents tell my wife how beautiful she is, and my wife later tells Jennifer. I don't like the people our daughters have started to become as a result. Jennifer is now always late to social engagements and expects people to just be happy to see her. She treats her boyfriend and other friends in a sometimes rude manner and flakes on them a lot. She has enough clothes to wear different ones every day and is getting the idea that she must marry rich or it's like she's wasting her beauty. She is also increasingly worried about hidden calories, and once when she had an acne breakout, she cried and didn't go to school. Olivia is withdrawn and refuses to spend time with me anymore because she's convinced I do stuff with her out of pity. I feel like this coming-of-age time coincides with my wife being upset that she's aging and wants to get injectables. She complains to me a lot about how angry she is about how rude people have been treating her compared to before. What do I do to mend this situation? Tell your wife to stop being a jerk. Her playing favorites is tearing your family apart. Make her stop spending the extra money on the younger daughter. If she denies and refuses to change, put the whole family in counseling. You'll be the biggest jerk of all if you do nothing to put an end to this crap. Your wife probably needs some therapy to work through her own insecurities about getting older and to stop projecting the idea of beauty as the ideal and most important thing onto your children. It's not just about your younger daughter being a brat now. Her actions are how people develop crippling body dysmorphia and eating disorders. She's actually destroying both of your children's mental health, and she probably doesn't see it because her mother and older women in her life did the same thing to her under the guise of being loving and supportive. My aunt, 54 female, and uncle, 55 male, have been married for 29 years. They never had kids, and no one in the family ever knew anything was going wrong. My aunt treats me, 20 female, like her daughter since she babysat me growing up. She recently told me, and only me, how she's been having problems with my uncle for the last decade and has hit her breaking point. My aunt and uncle are an interracial couple. My uncle is white and my aunt is Vietnamese. Her mother-in-law is extremely R and hates my aunt and her side of the family. Mother-in-law firmly believes that my aunt is a mail-order bride and looking for a green card. My aunt has been here since she was 5. Her mother-in-law has tried to get them divorced and tried to set my uncle up with other white women, even at their wedding. My uncle has always loved my aunt and loves our side of the family too. But the thing is, he cheated on my aunt a few years ago, and despite her confronting him even with evidence, she found text messages and lingerie that wasn't hers. He denies it. And I'm talking he cheats his way around explaining the proof too. Now, here's where things get even more rocky. My uncle fell ill last summer with heart failure and needs to get a heart transplant. He managed to be a good candidate for this heart pump that will allow him to function until he can get the transplant. When he was recovering, his mother decided to move in and help take care of her son. And since my aunt has to go into work daily, she's a nurse, she couldn't even refuse it. Her mother-in-law has been so mean to my aunt, and my uncle has been mean to my aunt too. His mother is making him turn into a typical entitled white man, and so he makes himself seem like the only one suffering and deserves to be treated properly. I actually asked my aunt why my uncle has been meaner recently, hence this conversation coming up. I didn't see my aunt's mother-in-law ever since their wedding, but she's so rude whenever we come to visit my uncle. My aunt has been basically treated like crap the last several years between constant cheating and illness causing him to be an a-hole. She can't stand it anymore, especially since the mother-in-law makes everything worse. My aunt wants to get a divorce since she feels unwanted and unloved. Honestly, after hearing everything and understanding why he's changed and why his awful mother is around, I can see why she can't stand it and wants to leave. So, is my aunt wrong for wanting a divorce? Nope. She's not a bad person to want to leave such a hostile living environment. Actions have consequences, sometimes at the worst possible time. Better now before mother-in-law gets her written out of the will. She'll get her half in a divorce now. I'm 26 male, mom 45 female, my sister 19 female, and youngest brother 9 male. My dad passed away 5 years ago. Before he passed on, he left us a home and a piece of land that he put it under my name. The house was on my mom's name. We were in debt, not a lot. The land was bigger than the house. After my dad passed away, I had a talk with my mom. We decided it was best to sell the house, decent 6 figures, and pay off debts, finish my studies, and try to build another house in that barren land. That area was developing and value was going up. My mom is a 3-time stroke survivor who's now in a wheelchair because she had an accident a few months ago. I joined work soon after my dad's death. I have an uncle I'm close to, and with his help, I was able to construct a 3-storied building. We rented out 2 and moved in 1. As Dad was not around anymore, I decided that it was not fair that I get the building all by myself. My mom and Dad had a loving marriage. Mom was devastated and talked to me about my siblings' future. I assured her that it was my responsibility now to take care of my siblings and her. I was talking to split the building in the future. Here's the problem. My sister considered her a Disney princess, won't lift a finger, blast loud music, we receive noise complaints, will disrespect Mom and me, continuously ask for money even though we give her an allowance. She's friends with my ex-girlfriend who cheated on me. She knew but decided not to tell me because it's cool and happens all the time. I ultimately decided that if she wanted to stay, she must cease disrespecting me and Mom inside my house. She yelled that it was her house too, as Dad left it. I told her Dad left it land. I made it home. I gave her an ultimatum that she needs to move out by next year. Mom is saddened by it. We are immigrants in this country. Mom is worried about her safety and doesn't want her to leave. I told her that she must. I can't take the disrespect anymore. I told her that I will try to find some work for her so she can at least try to make a living instead of living off my money and yelling at me. I pay for literally everything. Taxes, bills, groceries, loan repayments, education, car loan. I can't afford to give her $1.2K each month to spend lavishly. My sister told me that my girlfriend was right to cheat on an a-hole like me. Mom tells me she's worried and I might have gone a bit out of line with asking her to move out. I don't know the right course of action I should take now. She's becoming a spoilt child. She tells me she needs her own car and I told her to work for one. Is there any way I can handle this without having to hurt anyone? She needs to grow up. She cannot be sheltered forever and she needs to make her own way starting now. You can help her do it, but not fully. She needs to learn a lot by herself. She needs to realize that what you and your mother have done for her is not short of great and gracious. She needs to learn humility and respect from now on, or her future will be dark. She also needs to set an example for your brother as well.